Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BWG Game Club. I'm your host, Peter, with my friends, Johnny Bag of Donuts.
How y'all doing today?
And the dark skin Brock Lee.
Wow, bro. That's an honor.
Shut up!
That is an honor. Dude's the man.
Inside jokes, I guess.
What's going on, guys?
How is it going, everybody? We hope you're having a great morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. What is the BWG Game Club? It is a podcast where my friends and I play a game week by week. We play it section at a time, and then we get together and discuss that section in a podcast, such as the one that you are listening to or watching right now.
Woo!
This time around, we are playing Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. And this is episode 3. This is our penultimate episode. I'm going to let you know right now, our next episode will be the finale for Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice.
We out here.
But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's do a little recap of what happened last time. Last time, we had to cross the bridge to hell. We were doing all right. We made it to the gate on the other side of the bridge, and then Hela showed up. We got to meet Hela, who's running hell right now, and whoo, she bitch slapped the shit out of us.
I'm still feeling it.
My head's still ringing. She knocked us down onto Shipwreck Shore, and from there we had to follow this figure of light, who we think is Dillion. It seems to be Dillion. And we followed that figure of light to a tree where we found the sword that Odin granted the Viking, or should I say, the Northman hero, Sigmund. But before we can grab that sword, we have to complete some trials. And that is what this episode will consist of. We are going to do all 4 trials, and then we will collect that sword.
That
Guys.
sweet sword.
What did you think of this section? No specifics, not yet, but just let me know your general thoughts on the matter.
I will say in very short few words, I'm normally not a puzzle person, but this has turned me into a puzzle person.
Really?
I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah.
Sold you on it.
Yeah, it did. It was a great section.
I thought it was an okay section. Probably the weakest of it so far.
Wow.
Not in a bad way.
I liked it because we've played 3 sections so far, and this was the one where I thought to myself, I feel like I've played 3 different games in the past 3 weeks.
That's true.
Facts.
That's very true.
Yes.
Very, very true.
I think they kind of do that on purpose, though.
We've also split it up perfectly.
Oh,
Yeah.
We have.
It's a little
Without
strange.
even trying. I mean,
Right.
it just seemed right. We start this section at the tree. We've just been rejected by the sword, like me at a club. We've just been rejected. And Senua now has to complete 4 trials to get the shards so the sword can come together and we can pull it out of the tree. We walk down the hill to the first trial, and Truth has a little story for us at each shard that we focus on.
Get closer. What can you see?
A king in the north forced the dwarves to make a sword that would never fail and never rust, and that would slice through iron and stone and bring victory to its bearer. But the angry dwarves cursed it. It would be the death of a man every time it was drawn, and it would be the death of the king. Let me tell you about the sword Tyrving.
To learn more about that story, you have to find the lore stones in this trial. I'm not going to go over all of this story, but I will introduce you to each one that Drew talks about, just because they're not as interesting as the Sigmund story that we got to come across last week. There's some decent ones, but Sigmund really took the cake, all right? And there was a big reason why we had to learn about Sigmund and his sword. Senua was looking at this shard during the scene, and that's when Druth is talking. It serves as a loading screen.
Yeah.
In all honesty, you can tell, you can see the cut that they have.
Yep.
Even though they try to hide it, they did a nice job, but you can tell if you pay attention to the screen.
Yeah, I'm okay with loading screens like this. There's some talking on it, giving some background stuff. It's like the game's got to do what the game's got to do, you know?
It's got to pull us into this new area, and I understand it needs to load the new area. The shard pulls us into this new area, and we are now on a beach. The beach looks similar to Shipwreck Shore, but we're definitely in a different area. At this point, we have to climb up the hill in front of us. We have to walk on up until we find an entrance to these tunnels. Who built these tunnels? We don't know. But this trial that's coming up is a maze. It's a maze in the dark, and all you have is a torch to lead you to the exit.
Yeah. And a fucking scream that just reminded me of goddamn Blair Witch Project. So creepy.
I was terrified the whole time.
There's a lot going on in this scene, even though you can't see much. If you're not paying attention to where you're going, you're going to walk around in circles. And the reason that happens is that if you take the wrong turn, it brings you back into the same room that you were in.
Mm-hmm.
Very supernatural. Pretty cool. I liked the idea of this one.
Yeah.
I liked it because it helped, like, if you did get lost and you took the wrong turn, it pretty much showed you, like, hey, you took the wrong turn. There was one point where I had to double back, like, a few rooms back, and I was like, damn. And the whole time I was terrified. In my mind, I was thinking, okay, we're gathering shards for a sword. We don't have a sword. If something jumps out right now, I'm screwed. Like, I'm screwed. Dude, I was terrified the entire time. But part of me was like, nah, man, they ain't gonna, they wouldn't make something jump out.
Would they? No.
Well, would they?
Honestly, I've thought the sound design in this game was amazing from the start, but this one, dude, you can actually tell the direction of like where the groaning is coming from, because that's really how you finish this puzzle, is right. You have to listen to where this painful like scream from a distance, which she thinks is Dillion, and you have to essentially choose the path where it sounds more like it's coming from. But like, it sounds so realistic and creepy at the same time, because it's like it's dark. You get the torch that you're lighting the way, and you're just hearing like, it's just like, okay, what the fuck is going on here?
That was a great impersonation, John.
It's good. But yeah, I really appreciated the audio in this section.
Adding to the audio in this are the voices in Senua's head. Because if you take a wrong turn, do they let you know?
What was that? Did you hear that? Nothing. Was that voices? Is that his voice or the voice of the dead? Not Dillion. Dillion's calling to you. Can you hear him? Where is he? He sounds like he's getting further away. Have you lost him? You're going the wrong way. Are you lost, and have you lost him? Where are you? Turn left. Turn right. Over this way. What was that? This way. Follow this way. Nothing. Where are we?
Throughout this whole section of playing, every time they open their mouth, I was like, can you guys just shut? Like, literally, I was saying to myself, can you guys just shut up? Please shut up. I was streaming it. I was literally talking to myself. I kept saying in my head, like, dude, you need to stop doing that. Stupid.
Well, it was funny because like I would respond to them in my own head. Like, he's stupid. It's taking the wrong way. I'm like, no, I'm not stupid. I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know where I'm going. Like,
Right.
it just had my...
Dude, oh man,
very meta.
it's crazy.
I do want to say, Devon, if you guys remember to our first episode, that's what I was saying when I was trying to figure out the puzzle in Valraven's area. When I'm sitting there trying to walk around and use the gates to create the instances that you need to progress, the voices are just saying, "Oh, you'll never find it. You'll never find it. That you're dumb.
She's not doing it. She's going the wrong way.
She's going the wrong way.
Yeah.
She's not going to do it. She's not going to find it. She's going to make it." And I'm thinking, "Shut up and let me focus." And I saw in Devon's stream that he had the same moment that I did, and I felt that we understood.
I was just like, dude, I sat there and I was just like, oh, please, just quiet.
I don't mind them because they're louder than the other voices in my head.
Moving on.
Gotta go.
Yeah, you can light that. I tried to
Oh,
light
yeah.
the fucking.
Yes,
I'll
you
just
can
delay
light
it.
the
I did.
torch. There are stationary torches in the tunnels. You can walk up to them and light them, and that helps you out. On top of that, lighting those stationary torches lets you know which way to go, because sometimes you'll light it and you'll see in your peripheral the torch in the next room light up, so you know that if you go through there, you're walking into the same room.
Right.
Gotcha. I'm dumb because now looking at it, I realized like you have to hit the action button to light it, and I was just over there like hovering the torch over the just the fucking lamp. I'm like, I guess you can't light it.
I
All
did
right,
the
cool.
same thing at first, and then I pressed the action button and it did it.
Fuck me.
Yep.
John, you mentioned the screams.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do you have to follow the screams of what could supposedly be Dillian, but as you get closer, you hear other types of screams slash moans slash what the hell is that thing?
That voice doesn't sound like Dillian anymore. What's happening?
Quiet.
It's not him.
He wants me to find him. I'm lost without him.
How does she
That voice. It's not Dillian.
find a way? There's always a way.
Don't stop now. Don't give up now. Find a way.
You're too close to stop. What's in there?
Creepy, dude. Like, I'm getting goosebumps now. Like, when I was playing, dude, I was just like, you would hear the, and I was just like, oh my god, I don't like this.
Did that remind you guys of anything?
Go ahead, John. What did it remind you of?
What, the voices?
That
Are you talking
moaning in the background.
The fuck are you talking about?
I don't want to.
Oh god, yeah, no, Jesus, don't even get me started.
Don't want to die.
Yeah, I try to block that out as much as possible. I won the game for free from Camero. Shout out.
When that moaning came into play, I instantly thought, if something starts fucking chasing me, I'm gonna be pissed.
Oh, bro.
Well, it's like the thing
Facts.
is, you're going through these dark hallways and you're listening to the screams, you're getting closer, and then all of a sudden you see this like red glow from this doorway, and there's a cage looking, type thing where it's obviously you're going there, and then it's just like this distorted groaning now. It's not like the normal human groaning, and you're like, great, what the fuck is gonna happen? It's just is very effective with what they were trying to do.
I'm not gonna lie, when I got to that red door, I didn't know that you could open it right away. So I kind of just stood at the red door, and the moaning got louder and louder, and I was panicking for a moment. Just internally panicking as I was playing the game, thinking, where do I go? Do I gotta leave? Do I gotta go take a left? Do I gotta go around? I don't know. This thing sounds like it's getting closer. Just what did I do? And I pressed A, and she opens the door, and I thought, oh,
Gently opens the
door. I'm glad I'm out of there.
It was definitely a terrifying experience. You just felt so vulnerable. You know what I'm saying, you just feel so vulnerable, and it's just like there's nothing that you can do about it, right? If something was in there, what do? Run. That's about it. It almost turns into an Outlast. Can't do it. Nope.
I'm waiting for the comments where they say, "Oh, you guys are lucky you found the door so quickly. Something would have definitely came after you."
Oh, fuck that, dude. No way.
Imagine
if I got attacked, I'd have been like, all right, game club's over, guys. Sorry. I'm out.
No way.
Going through that red door triggers a cutscene, and not just any type of cutscene. A cutscene about Senua and her dad, who is not a very nice person. But I feel like you can understand why.
Yeah, understand why he's not a nice person?
Yeah. I feel like they're painting him in a bad light, but it's more like he really loves his daughter and he thinks he knows the best way to protect her.
Well, you recognize the voice, right? So
Neither.
I'm pretty sure the voice is the one that you hear that's like semi distorted before this point when the tree was on fire.
It's the darkness.
The darkness?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, John. Yes, I was thinking that too. I was thinking the voice of the darkness is her father's voice.
Yeah, it's
yes,
it's like the clean
man.
version of the
Wow.
darkness.
Yes. Yes.
I totally missed.
Did
that.
you? Because I was thinking the same thing when I was playing. I was gonna say it while I was playing, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, bro, I've heard that voice before.
Mhm.
And I was like, is it? No.
I heard it, I went, damn. Okay. I was
Right.
like, that's
I'm
a
so
little
happy
deep
that
now.
you think
I was like,
that's
it's a little
yes.
deep now.
About to
Pete's
blow
stunned right
Peter's
now.
mind. I'm about to blow Peter's mind.
Done. We're playing the scene. Let's go.
Father. I'm leaving. I've decided. I think it will be good for me.
It's the darkness. It's speaking through
No,
you.
Dad, it's me. I think I can beat it. In my own way.
I can see the darkness in your eyes, child.
I met a boy.
Boy.
The chief said.
No.
He said he could help me.
It's a trick.
He said I could be normal.
Normal.
Yes.
No boy is going to save you. No one can. When they see the rot growing inside you,
No.
they will turn their back on you. The gods can only fix you through my hand. You're going nowhere.
No.
You will not defy the gods. Come, child, take my hand. Come. Senua.
I am leaving.
You cannot escape the darkness. Your curse will make everyone suffer. You will have blood on your hands!
Holy shit!
Right, dude.
It does sound like him.
Yeah.
Whoa. My mind is blown.
I thought that was cool.
It was cool. I'm so happy I wasn't the only one that thought that too. Perfect.
I mean, it makes sense, right? That's
does make
like
sense.
if that's like potentially the source of everything. I get what you're saying, where he could be portrayed in like the dad being portrayed in a poor light, just that one scene. But I would think that kind of relates to everybody's life, how there's like two perspectives of stuff, right? Where it's like the dad's trying to be protective of his daughter, and this is how she's interpreting that whole scene is just him being, really terrible, and that's manifested now into her mind.
It almost
What's
makes
up?
sense.
Or what
Uh-oh.
if
Here we go.
she is using the person who brought her pain to personify the darkness inside of her?
Almost as like a blame thing. You think she's blaming her father?
Not blaming her father, but the thing is, her father didn't help it. So when she thinks of the darkness,
It
She
comes
thinks
out
of
as
her-
him.
it comes out as him.
Right.
Could be.
Right.
Mhm.
I would agree with that.
Wow, like, oh man, I
Crazy,
love
right,
this
dude?
game. It's so good. It's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
That was an incredible insight. Thank you. Thank you guys. This is why we do
Hey,
the
man.
game club
That's why we do it.
right here. This is why. Well, guys, what did you think of the scene overall?
Like John has always said, and I think we've all said it, the way they've captured the scenes and the way they can capture her emotion on her face, it's just a testament to how great this game is. And it was just a great scene. I mean, we meet a semi-new person, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to us, it's new. But then when you think about it, like we just said about the darkness, is it really new? Or, I mean, I guess we'll find out later, but we get introduced to her father. We've had an introduction to her mother. So now we get to see that other side. And obviously he doesn't like the sight that they've had. So understandable where his feelings come from, but crazy. It's a great scene. Loved it.
With what you said, Devon,
Yes.
I just want to ask you guys a question before John goes and talks about what he thought. Don't you guys think it's interesting how almost every new character we've met, besides Druth and Hela, we've been in the perspective of that character?
Yes.
That was going to be my point. Is like it's interesting that in those scenes we take the perspective of the person she's talking to. It's strange because we're watching her reaction to it, and it's like you're an outside party that's experiencing like the firsthand perspective of what's going on. Again, kudos to the team and her. Like you completely see like and feel her like the emotion that she has behind it, and it's almost like you're driving a vehicle that you have no control over, right? You can't control the car, but you know where it's headed and what's happening, and it's like you see the disaster that's happening right in front of you, but it makes you feel a little bit like she loves Dillian, and she's trying to tell her dad that she's leaving, and he's not having it, which again could be a protective dad, knowing that she has this issue that doesn't think is going to be fixed, but she's being the rebellious child, and she's going after her love, and you can tell that she's pissed at him. You can tell she's really trying to fight for her side and what she believes is the right move. It's cool. Like it's interesting, like taking that perspective. So it's great. I love this game.
Second time we've watched Senua get bitch slapped. Technically third, if we count the time that big ol' enemy punched her out.
Bopped her right in the face.
true.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
dude.
All
Wow.
right. Gotta say, don't appreciate you assholes. All right.
Mhm.
All right. You all need to stop hurting my Senua.
That's right.
Our Senua.
Our Senua.
Yeah.
Senua does leave her dad behind. She thinks she can fix her problem. She thinks Dillian can help her. And she has had it with the way her dad has been pretty much caging her in. She leaves, and when she leaves, we have finished the first trial. Woo!
Woo! Go us.
On
Go
to the
us,
next
baby.
one, right, guys?
Yes.
The second trial is sort of a maze, but with a twist. And we'll get into that twist. But before we get there, we have to walk up to the shard, and we have to listen to a little bit of Druth. I gotta say, I'm happy Druth is back.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally.
Anytime
I like
Druth talks to Senua, I think, I'm a little relieved. I feel like Senua. I must feel what she's feeling whenever she
Right.
hears Druth talk to her. It's
like-
that moment of relief where a companion is talking to you.
Right.
Right.
It's like, friend, thank you. Thank you for being here in my time of need.
It's like having someone on the phone, even though you're alone. You still have
Right.
someone there. It's like,
Man, that's
Exactly.
the best, right?
yeah.
I saw once a plague strike northern lands of ice. It was so terrible that not the oldest man among us could remember the like. Hundreds died. The sickness took nearly every person younger than 40 and many older. And where dying mothers gave birth, the marks of the plague were on the babes as they came out of the womb.
For our second trial, Senua ends up in a swamp area.
The stench of rot. She can almost taste it. Do you smell it? No. Don't worry. Not everyone can. It was a warm spring day when she went to the river with Dillian and the others. But the water. She could taste the rot. But no one else could. She knew something was wrong, something sinister. She begged them to leave, but they just laughed at her. But soon enough, as the bodies piled up, no one was laughing. And they knew that she was not like that.
We just got introduced to the plague that attacked her village.
Is it bad that when she said, "Do you smell it?" I literally, in real life, was like,
What were you
I was
like in
just
real
like-
life?
just breathing in like a couple times, and I was like, "Why did I just do that? Why would I breathe in like that?"
Because you're into the game, Devon.
I am into the game.
Yeah.
fully immersed.
Devon, when she asked that question, I thought that's the next generation of gaming.
Oh, bro, I hope not.
Television, dude.
You're sitting there playing a game, and you can just smell the area.
They're hitting all the emitters in your nose and everything.
I think that's when
That
I
the
tap
characters
out of
in.
video games. I think that's when I'm out. When I can smell shit.
Right.
I don't need to be playing Gears fucking 20 and having to fucking
You're
smell
chainsawing some dude.
Marcus
and just
Phoenix.
smell it.
It's just this
Right.
fucking
It
taint
just-
sweat. I don't need
It
that.
just smells like sweat, blood, and just swamp
I'm
ass.
good.
And you're just like the whole time you're just like, I miss when video games were not like this.
I miss when I had 14 buttons instead of
Instead of nasal sensors.
yeah.
Got nasal sensors in my
I mean,
VR.
to be fair, like you just could be in a fucking chair, just like zoned out, like fucking, fucking Matrix style.
Oh, like Sword Art Online. I pray for a game like that.
What do you guys think about the voice talking about the plague?
They're pulling the curtain behind, what's actually occurring in Senua's story here, with like the whole, village getting decimated. I still think there's something else. There's going to be another little twist to it, I believe. They kind of make her out to be the only one to notice that there's a problem with the water.
Because she has the sight.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
To piggyback off that, her noticing that and everyone not believing her is what's crazy to me, right? Because she's warning them and they're like, nah, you're crazy. At the same time, she's warning them and they're just not listening and
You never listen to the crazy person until it's too
Nope.
late.
until it's too late.
Well, we can touch on this later because there's, I think, another revelation down the road, but it definitely factors into the story.
At the same time, it's also interesting because what did her dad tell her? That she would be responsible, that she would bring a curse on all these
Right.
people. And then the
Right.
very next trial that we play, there's a plague that comes over her village.
Very true. Very true. This is surprisingly where you can tell the graphics or like physics weren't on par with everything else. It's like she's in the swamp and like the water like immediate around her is like moving. It's not like rippling or anything like that. Not that it's a huge thing. Like it's not taking away. This game is still fucking gorgeous, but it was one thing I noticed. I was like, it's kind of just like very stiff. You can see the effects that are
Mhm.
just around where she's moving. But again, nitpick. It's a very nitpick.
I definitely get what you're saying, and that's why
Yeah.
Ninja Theory called this, I think it was a AAA indie title.
Okay.
Mm. All right.
So
I
you
get it.
can't compare
yeah.
it to,
No,
things like
I get it,
Uncharted,
right.
but
Right.
you
Or like a
can
Red Dead
definitely
or
say
something.
that this game is better than Undertale.
Dude, if this
Yeah.
is
That's
an
not a
indie
fair
game, fuck
comparison
me.
at all.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing.
I'm
Just
like,
kidding.
fucking what? I've always wanted to play that game, actually. Undertale.
If this is a goddamn indie game, fuck me.
Ninja Theory has zero excuses for Hellblade Senua Saga now that they're a first party studio for
Yeah, they got the-
a major company.
which makes
like
me
Microsoft.
even more fucking excited.
Excited for it. Dude,
God damn, dude.
it's like the one
So
time.
guess what? If Senua walks through a swamp and that water isn't
I
fucking
want to see
rippling,
some fucking ripples in the water. All right, you
Here's my
hear me?
thing.
I'm gonna be pissed.
Microsoft, you hear me?
This is
You
the
hear me?
this is the first time I've ever been like super excited for a Microsoft.
First party game.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just like I'm super stoked, and I cannot wait. Just playing through this and everything that's happened so far, and for whatever's going to happen next, I'm just like, just yes, just yes.
Well, the cool thing about games like this, right, is that if and when there is a sequel, they have the base game there, right? And they can only just iterate on top of it. They have all the assets there. They can just make a better version of this game, and it makes me very excited about it.
Right.
About this section, what we have to do is find our way into this house. There is a house that Dillian, the figure of light, has walked into. We need to make our way there. However, the only way we can get to that house is by fixing the bridge that leads up to it. To do that, we gotta work our way back to a little Valraven puzzle and use these gates that will change the instance around us. It definitely stumped me a little bit.
Really?
And I only say that it stumped me because I didn't know that when you get to the area that you need to, that you have to focus on a particular object. The way the puzzle works is when you get to one side of the swamp, you have to walk through the gate to open this area so you can walk through another gate. And when you do that, you can walk through the previous gate and form a ladder that you can climb up. When you climb up that ladder, you can cross this walkway, and then you can focus on the broken bridge and fix it. I focused, and nothing happened. And that's because I didn't know that you had to line up the bridge in the weird, broken reality pieces that were floating.
Yeah, that's what we did with the stairs earlier on that one portion.
Yeah. Remember what I said last episode where I focused and I had no idea? I said, I don't remember stairs being there. I guess we got to go up the stairs.
Gotcha.
So I walked around like an idiot for a little while because I climbed up the ladder and thought, oh, well, what do I do now? When I climbed up the ladder again, I walked over to the area and I just focused on the bridge, not knowing that I aligned it perfectly and the bridge formed. And I thought, oh, why didn't that work the first time I focused on it? Cross the bridge, not knowing. Yeah. All right, not knowing what happened.
I'm
so it's the second time you didn't know that.
Exactly.
Listen,
the game doesn't hold your hand, but guess what? You can get by being an idiot.
I'm also going to agree with that later on in the section that we played. Because I didn't know that you had to line them up.
I didn't have any trouble with this at all.
We figure out how to get into the house.
Yeah.
We align the bridge. We cross the bridge. We walk on into the house. And you think, hey, this trial is over. At least I thought, hey, this trial is finally over. Thank goodness. I felt like a dumbass because I couldn't get it. But we're done. You're not. You're not done. What you have to do now is find symbols to open a door. But it's not just finding the symbols this time. It's making sure you're running away from this giant creature that is chasing you, this giant fire creature that will burn you alive if you don't get away. So you have to find these symbols in this wooden area. This creature can break through the wood to come after you. So you have to find the symbols, get to the door without being attacked. If you've ever played Outlast, Amnesia, any modern day horror game, you know what this sequence is like. It's pretty much you have no way to defend yourself.
I did not play those games. I died in this part.
Did
Guys?
you?
I ran right towards the light because I thought that's what we were doing the whole fucking game, and then it burned me alive, and I was like, "Oh, okay, never mind."
Peter, did you?
I died in this part.
Let's
and I'm going to
go.
let you know exactly what happened and how I died in this part.
I would like to chime in and say I did not.
Well,
Wow.
I shouldn't
finished-
have died. I'm going to say that right now. I shouldn't have died.
I finished this very fast, along with me screaming, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! It's right there! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god." Dude, I was terrified, anxiety, sweating, everything. You can watch the stream, watch it. I was terrified.
When I played this, I was looking for structures to form the symbols.
Me too, Pete. Me
I
too.
didn't know that they were just floating on
Just
the
there.
walls. They're
Just
just
there.
there. You just have to run to the light and then look at the symbol on the wall. I didn't know that until the second go around when I was doing the circle and escaping this fire thing that was chasing us.
Which is bullshit because every single time that you, even in this entire section, you play like they're hidden in the environment and you have to line them up and blah 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 blah. So it's like you actually have to run to the spot and the symbol's just sitting there in bright light and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're like, I thought it was gonna be something a little bit more clever, but yeah, I did
Exactly.
the same exact thing.
Dang. Well,
So I thought, okay, when I finally figured it out, that's all right. That's all right. We got this now. We got this.
Mhm.
I found all three symbols.
oh no.
And when I went to run to the door, I turned the corner and somehow it got me. And I don't understand why, because I swear I was closer to the creature earlier in this sequence than I was when it got me. When I respawned, I showed back up in the area, but when you're next to the door, I guess, like, the world is all mutilated, kind of like the bridge was. I'm waiting for it to get to a point where I can understand what's happening on the screen, and that's not how it worked.
So I took that as when the flame creature was like close to you, it distorts your view of the world.
Oh. See, I had no idea because the first time I died, it didn't do that.
Yeah.
It didn't distort the world. I didn't think I was close to it. I swear I was closer before. And the game was kind of freaking out, I feel. Like, it wasn't registering. I went to, the third time around, I went to the first symbol, tried to stare at it, and it didn't register that I was looking at it. Tried to open the door thinking, oh, maybe I grabbed all the symbols, and so it just saved it. No, it didn't, because when I got to the door and I was trying to push it open, it wasn't doing it. So I ended up quitting the game and restarting the area. And then went around and finally got through. So
I feel like
this section kind of annoyed me.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because I quickly forgot my annoyance as we went on.
When it comes to matching up the symbols, I feel like if you zoom in and then line up, it doesn't register. You have to like have it unfocused and then have the symbol line up and then zoom in, and then that's when it registers, and it kind of like brings the symbol right towards where it is. So if you're too quick with it and you try to be like, oh, I'm gonna like focus and bring it towards it, no. So for the record, I think I did this one third, because I want to say I did the mask trial, if you will, before this, because I feel like that one is more, again, like the traditional line up the symbols sort of puzzle. And I went into this one again, I think right after that one, being like, where are the fucking symbols? I don't understand, like what you were saying before, that they're just right there, that you have to focus on them. I didn't know that. It was almost reinforced because I did the previous one. So I think you can do them out of order.
This section, it was cool. I'm not gonna lie. Overall, I thought it was all right. I know John doesn't like being chased, but at the same time, that adds to the intensity. You can't lie that it's not intense when you're being chased.
Oh, so good.
Well, the terrifying part was, again, I died right at the beginning of when I first started, because I just ran towards the fire, thinking you had to run towards the light. Didn't know what was going on. All of a sudden, I see the rock go up my arm. I'm like, fuck, I died. I was like, I thought this was part of the story. And I'm like, shit, I got to run from this thing. And that's when it even made me more scared. I was like, oh, God. I was like, what is this?
Dude, I'm telling you, if you go back and watch the VOD of me playing, I'm going to toot my own horn here. It all happened so quick. I was scared, but it was like,
all right, Devon.
This is what it feels like to have a Peter moment. I did not die in this section. It was wonderful. Felt great. Felt amazing.
With the symbols found, we can open up the door and escape the wrath of whatever that fire-breathing firebender thing is. Senua busts through the door.
Bam!
Shuts it behind her. She holds it as the thing tries to crash through.
I was so happy
to be done with this.
That door.
Even though I call bullshit at this part, because this dude's busting through all this other shit, but he can't just bust through this door while she's holding it. Come on.
Well, it's in her mind, Devon.
Come on.
It only allows whatever she wants to break.
All right.
Right now, she's conquered it. You know,
those wooden walls that thing was breaking through, that just represented the fragility of her mind.
I'm out of here. I gotta go. Fucking.
With Senua on the other side of the door, the scene around her changes, and we get another cutscene.
Senua! Senua! What happened?
They're blaming me for the plague. They say that I'm cursed. What if they're right?
How would they know such a thing? Are they gods? None of us are. They're just people. Good people, but they're scared. They're afraid of what they can't see. Like children scared of the dark. They make up stories to fill the void. That doesn't make them true.
What if my father was right?
You have to step out of this darkness. Let them see who you really are, like I have. You're not a monster.
What do you guys think of that scene?
Dillian is there to help pull her out of the darkness. You know, he's there, and it ultimately shows how much he cares and how much she means to him as well. Obviously, I guess it goes back to what we were saying, like how they were calling her crazy, and she's thinking, "Oh, maybe am I crazy?" You know, am I? And he's like, "You gotta step away from this darkness," and that's pretty much what's taken over. But you can see how much she wants to fight to get him back because he's a big part of her life, and she's a big part of his. So
They also like telegraph that people are talking about how she is essentially bringing the plague, and that she's the one that caused everything. But Dillian is kind of just being like, how do they know? They're not gods. They don't know you. Basically, it's like he's supporting her and trying to get her to come out of the funk that she's in.
I like the way I encountered this scene because it came right after the father scene.
mhm.
So if you played that first trial, you see her talking to her dad, and then when you play this trial, it's her saying, "Maybe my dad was right,"
Uh-huh.
and you get that immediate correlation between the two.
Right.
I like the way that came together.
Well, I definitely played this like quote unquote semi out of order. Like I think the middle two shards I flip flopped. Like I played the first one first and the last one last, but I played these kind of flipped. So I don't think it changes it all too much, but I kind of miss what you're saying as far as having that direct correlation right after the dad scene. So I just took it as like him supporting her and what she's going through,
Mhm.
which is kind of what's been par for the course. He's always been like on her side.
And it shows that he supported her through everything. I mean, people
Right.
in the village were dying,
Right.
but he still said, "No, it's not your fault." And
Hmm.
you have to realize that. They might blame you, but they don't know you. And if
Right.
they got to know you, if you came out of this house, if you came out of the darkness, people would
Mhm.
get to know you and they would understand that you are not the cause of this. Definitely a wholesome scene, albeit a sad one because
Yeah.
she feels responsible for the death in her village.
Yeah, I mean, when I watched it, honestly, I was thinking about I've never experienced anything with like severe depression or anything, but you see like movies or TV shows where someone's like laying in bed and you have like the supportive spouse that's like trying to be like, no, like, just get up, start doing things, come out of the darkness. That's the kind of vibe I felt from that. It was like he was trying to motivate her to try to just like, get out of that space
Right.
and try to reintegrate. But like it's weird, thinking about it, like, that's a modern time thing, being like, you got to get out of this type of thing. And like, they're literally thinking that it's a physical darkness inside of somebody.
Mhm.
And it's like, you got to come out of the darkness. It's the same situation, but handled slightly different. It's kind of interesting.
I didn't even think about that, John. That's a great look into it. That scene has now ended, and we are back at Shipwreck Shore. We have made it back to the tree. That's 2 trials done, 2 to go. We head
Can
on
I just
over.
say, Shipwreck Shore just sounds like a place you drop in Fortnite. That's all I think about every time.
So
Sorry,
I'm going to
continue.
keep saying it.
It's what it's called. It's weird.
We walk on over to the 3rd shard, and we talk to our favorite voice.
I want to tell you a story about a god of the Northmen called Balder. The second son of Odin, he was beautiful, good, and wise. He was fair of feature, he spoke fair words, he gave fair judgments. Light shone from him. Only good things were told of him. Yet he was the first of the gods to die.
We have made it to the 3rd trial. We are on this island of sorts. Bridges are broken. There are places locked off. And the only way to maneuver around it is to use these masks that change the world you're in. When you use the mask, it'll change the world from a dark and stormy area to a sunny, heartwarming area. And you have
Reminiscent
to
of the tree. the tree
Yes.
the tree times.
And you have to go back and forth between these two areas to progress. Now, if you listen to Druth's little monologue at the start of that, it talks about the god Balder. Balder, I'll just let you know right now, his mother made a wish that nothing could harm him because they were afraid that he was going to die. But Loki didn't like that, so Loki found a way to kill him, and he ended up killing him with a piece of mistletoe that he used to pierce Balder's body. Crazy story. They came up with some crazy ideas.
Yeah.
Imagine dying by mistletoe.
It happens to me every Christmas.
Yes.
What did you guys think of this third trial?
Crazy, man. Can we talk about this massive building that we have?
This
It's massive.
This is actually the one I like the least, I think.
Really?
Yeah, it felt like just the puzzle itself just felt very video gamey. Like it kind of took me out of the whole thing. Like when it comes to this game, I've noticed that you have to do like you unlock this one area, you do something to get into like a different zone to backtrack to go to the other area, which you just do a lot of like this like back and forth. It just felt very manufactured. Like it wasn't what I would say like to be a clever puzzle. It was just very, very generic. I don't know. I feel like they've done this before in this game and they've done it better. And this one was just like, I was like, great. I got to push down this thing to get to the mast to go around to push down the other bridge so I can use the mast to get like, it felt very somewhat formulaic. I felt.
I will say I did get stuck.
See, I thought this puzzle was actually pretty easy. I mean, it made sense to use the mast to go through this way to open this door.
That's what I'm saying. It was
get
easy.
Up. Oh, okay. That's why you didn't like it?
Yeah, it was just it felt like a video game like puzzle that just I don't know. I thought it was very boring. Like I didn't think it was anything crazy.
I wonder if that's because of the order you played it in.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because coming from being chased by that damn fire creature to this one, this was like a break. This was a moment where I thought, oh, whew, I can just figure this out mentally.
A moment of relief.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
There's no worries or anything like that.
Yeah.
I did get stuck.
I'm not being chased. This is nice.
I can see that.
Did you guys notice while you were on here that if you looked back into the ocean that you could see the tree?
I did not notice that.
Yeah. You can see the tree in the background.
Well, it's also the bridge to hell, right? Isn't that the stuff on the left? You can see the giant horse thing that's like over the top of everything.
I didn't notice the giant horse.
I didn't notice the giant horse either.
I was not paying attention to those background
I could be
features.
wrong.
I don't think you're wrong, John. I don't think you're
wrong
probably right.
Yeah.
I just didn't look up at any of that stuff. I was just taking in the immediate area.
Yeah. I definitely was like ready for this puzzle to be done. By the time it finished, I was like, yeah, it's just more of the same. I don't know.
It's actually where I got stuck was inside when you have to rebuild the stairs. I could not for the life of me figure it out. And then at that point, that's when I figured out, oh, I have to line it up to make the stairs match. Got it. Did it. And I was like,
so glad you said that, Devon, because this is the moment where I figured that out too.
Yep.
I saw the stairs and thought, oh, I just have to line them up.
Well, because you could see the picture in it. Before, in the other ones, you couldn't really see the picture.
I
it
never
just fell
saw
into
the
place
picture.
for me.
It
just fell into place.
Yep.
So for here, I was just, when I walked in and I was like, dude, what do I have to do? And then I stood near like the door and I was like, oh, I can see the steps. I was like, oh, and then it was just like, and I was like, well, that's easy. It's stupid, dude.
So like, I think I play out of the three of us more puzzle games than the rest of you guys.
Facts.
So like, I feel like I knew from the start where they were going with everything. Like how this is set up. So it was just annoying for me to have to like go through the whole process because I was like, I know exactly what they want me to do. It was like, now I just need to fucking do it. It was a slog to go back and forth through the different things, and I was like, I really don't care.
John, answer me this quick question.
Sure.
The first trial that you played, that was the one with the tunnels.
Correct.
and then you played this one right after it.
I believe I did. Yes.
I can
what I recall
understand.
correctly.
I can totally understand why this one would annoy you after
Yeah.
playing the tonal one.
Yeah.
I think if you played it in the order that we did, this would have been the
Which-
break.
Vice versa, it was like a fucking ramp up in terror. Playing the other ones back to back. It's like, what the fuck?
You were like, okay, I'm walking through these dark tunnels, and then fuck, this huge fire thing's chasing me. Fuck.
Yeah, and then the final fucking shard is like, oh my god.
Oh, we haven't even gotten to the
Yeah, I
final
know,
shard
I
yet.
know,
Oh,
I know.
baby. Oh. As we said, you use the masks to go through basically different realms of the same area. Everything's a little different when you do that, and you use that to progress to find the symbols that you need to open the gate to go across the bridge. When you go across the bridge, you can see Dillian on the other side.
What's up,
You need
boo?
to get to him.
Well, Dillian's spirit, if you will.
Dillian's spirit, the figure of
Yeah.
light, because we still don't
The
know
glow.
if it's really Dillian.
Right.
Who knows? Who knows?
Probably the darkness.
We have no idea. We're just assuming that it's Dillian. But in order to get to him, we have to go across a long board.
Eye roll.
A
An eye
long,
roll.
skilly board. A long, skinny board.
Yeah. This one was like, oh
At-
god. I was like, yeah.
This part, not hard, just kind of annoying. They wanted to make it challenging by making it super long. Like, this is definitely the longest
Yeah,
board that we
and it's
had to
not
travel
challenging.
across. And it's not hard.
I
The
don't.
moment the camera moves,
Ugh.
you know to balance it the other
God.
way and then just
Mhm.
keep moving forward. It's really simple.
I just feel like they had this mechanic from something that they did before. They're like, let's throw it in there to have something else in. It's completely unnecessary.
I feel like if you fall off of something like this, you're just a bad gamer.
Yeah. It blows my mind that they have the bounce mechanic on this beam that they've used maybe 3 times in the game.
Not just
Like,
that, but like,
why?
when you do something like this, it brings me back to other games that I've played this through. So I'm like, this is standard. This is like standard video game.
But
shit.
but the other games that they do it in, at least it's like some sort of like climbing parkour game where like you do it multiple times.
Right.
This has honestly been done no more than 4 times.
Right.
Like, and it's completely useless. Like there's nothing gained from this gameplay mechanic. It's like a just like a tired trope mechanic that, like you said, had been done before. And it just adds nothing to the experience other than just like, oh, are you gonna fall? Are you not gonna fall? Like, it's not even hard. It's just
You
it's
almost
so
got it.
dumb.
You gotta be faster than that.
I'm super indifferent to it. I understand that.
I
it's in
am
there,
too, but like, it's just
but-
like I don't get why they put this in here. I really don't get why they put it in here.
They just want to add to it. That's all it is. They want to add to some tension. And for us, it's not a difficult mechanic. Maybe for some people it is. Maybe people new to games it is. Maybe people who don't normally play games like this, it's difficult.
I got it.
But I don't know. For me, it's just really
Removing it
something-
doesn't change anything at all.
It's
It's
Yeah.
a mindless fucking like mini task. Like
but it's,
the
this
most
one
basic
this one is
skill.
not mindless. This one is not mindless because
Pretty
no,
mindless.
it's not mindless. This one is not mindless because you do get some story elements while you're crossing the bridge.
Okay.
Just stick a fire demon up my ass while I'm crossing over. That'll fucking amp up the fucking.
Dude,
tension.
seriously, have something chasing me. I'll be more intense in there. I don't know.
Fucking come on, fucking go. But I mean, yeah, I guess you're right.
Make me
Little
jump
story
back
element.
and be like, that thing's a monster. Oh my god, it's huge.
Dillian doesn't know who killed him, but we do.
Dillian!
Be quick.
Dillian never much cared for the underworld and looked dimly upon the druids, like her father, Zinbao. I guess he took after his father, a chieftain who believed nothing he couldn't see, and he happened to be blind. She felt safe in Dillian's arms, learned to see the world through his eyes. Slowly, the darkness that had bound her so tightly began to unravel.
Very careful. You've come this far, don't let him slip away. It's a narrow bridge. And there's a long way to fall.
So while you're trying to balance your way across this beam, you're learning about Dillion and Dillion's father. Dillion didn't really care about the gods. Didn't really care about anything supernatural. Kind of like his dad, who didn't believe in anything he couldn't see, and his dad was blind. That's
Crazy.
actually
Didn't
a
believe in
dope
his son.
quote. I thought that was awesome.
Didn't believe in his son. Didn't believe in his own son. Look at that.
It was
So,
dope.
what do you guys think of that? Of that introspective into Dillion?
It's crazy because his whole perspective on life changes, right? Just from his father. So that's why he can see that Senua can get past the darkness, right? Because his dad is blind. So he lives in darkness, but he sees through it and everything. So it's pretty dope. You know, he helps her out and he believes in her.
It kind of paints them as a perspective of like outsiders of the natural order. You know, everyone believes in the gods. They're kind of this like new age family. It's just like, damn, well, yeah, I don't really believe in it, you know? And you can see that with Dillion growing up with his dad, if that's the perspective that he's been taught his entire life. It kind of makes sense why he's drawn to Senua and why Senua would be attracted to him, essentially. It's kind of neat, giving a little background, more depth to Dillion.
I 100% agree with that, John. It definitely shows that because he doesn't believe in the gods, because he doesn't believe that a darkness like this is implanted in someone by the gods,
Right.
that she can get over this, that they can fight their way through this, and that he'll help her fight her way past this mental issue. Do you think he believes in the gods now?
Yes. Since one holds his life in balance right now, yes. I was just thinking that. I was like, I bet he feels pretty stupid right now. Like, Hela's got him like this. Oh, what's up, buddy? You don't believe in me? Oh, good. Oh, yeah. You don't believe in me? Just got him in a cage, just shaking him. Ooh. Who do you believe in now?
She's sticking her hand up his head, just like blah, 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 blah. Hey, I don't believe in God. Blah, 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 darkness isn't real.
Yeah, I bet he feels pretty stupid.
Oh, God.
I bet his dad feels stupid too, because his dad's there as well. That's off the book. That's off the book.
Senua makes her way across, and Dillion jumps off the bridge.
No! It's your fault. He's disappeared. You've lost him to the sea. He's gone. You've lost him to him. He's gone to the water. He's drowned.
We lost him to the sea.
Lost him to the sea. You were too slow.
I wanted him to yell when he jumped, "It's all for you, Senua," and then
I believe I can fly.
that is going to mark the end of this trial. But before we get back to Shipwreck Shore, John's favorite drop location,
Hey,
we get to see Dillion's face for the first time. Live action close-up of Dillion, an ethereal form of Dillion. We don't get just a clear vision, but we can pretty much make out what he looks like. And it's a live action actor portraying him.
That's the thing. Good on the team, because like I was like, this is live action, just like Druth, right? And then like there's times where I was like, wait, is it mocap? I definitely questioned it like 2 times through this whole thing, and I was like, nah, it's live action. But like I was like, good on them. They made me question it. It was like there's that little tinge of like, is it or it isn't?
Senua, your father cannot understand your darkness. He cannot see through your eyes. No one can. My own father was born blind. Doesn't have the faintest idea of what the night looks like. The word dark to him means as little as the word light. So someone is afraid of the dark. Should we fix them by taking away their sight? Would you give up the beautiful world that you, and only you, can see just to be rid of your nightmares? Or is this the price you pay for the gift you have? A gift that makes you so special in my eyes. Just another part of the person I love.
I left for the wilds to protect you from my darkness. Because I love you. But it made it worse. I'm so sorry.
I have two things to say about that scene. One, the first half of that scene, before the loading kicks in, and you can sense the skip in the cutscene, was his live action and the words off sync.
I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice either.
For me, they were off sync until the loading kicked in, and then it finally synced up.
Oh, damn.
I kind of think that even if it does do that, it has that spaciness to it where it wouldn't affect it enough to take you out of it. You know?
And it didn't. I just could tell that it wasn't in sync.
Gotcha.
And so I'm looking at him talk, and I'm thinking, oh, that's not lining up right. And then the load happened, and you can, like we've said before, you can tell when the load kicks in. It synced up right after that.
That sucks.
The OCD in me calmed down. That's not a sync. That's not a sync. Oh, okay. All right.
I get the same way too. Don't worry. I completely understand.
The other thing that I wanted to say is at the end of that cutscene, actually 3 things. Here we go. Thing number two. When he's talking to her and she's lying on the ground, because the camera pans out from Dillion's face and he's in the ground, but the way she's lying down, it's almost like they're lying down together and she's lying on his chest or on his shoulder and just has her hand on his chest. I thought that was so cool.
So cool.
It just looked so great as the camera panned out and you got to see them, and you can see how much she cares about him and how much she wants to be with him. Loved the way they structured that scene.
Can you feel the love tonight?
Third thing, at the end of that scene, she says, I left to save you from the darkness, but it only made things worse. I'm sorry. And I instantly thought of John's theory where because she tried to leave, it was the darkness. There's nothing that has counteracted John's theory, which is really annoying me. And I don't want that to be the case.
My thing is, the voices in her head start repeating what the darkness said, right? Or not repeating, but going along the lines, because he said they're going to use your memories and thoughts against you, blah, blah, blah. And here go the voices.
Killing you would be too easy. They're taking your memories to torture you. They're taking you from the inside. You're disappearing one memory at a time. Every time you remember, it disappears. They're going to take everything. They're not yours anymore. They're going to take everything you have. The memories of ghosts. They belong to the gods, not to you. They're eating you from the inside. They want to kill your soul. They want to crush it.
Like, you're losing your memories, blah, blah, blah. They're using them against you. And I'm just sitting here like, well?
Yeah, it definitely reinforces that she is an unreliable narrator. And I think we're definitely getting the happy pieces of her memory right now. We're going to get a screeching halt, like record scratch stop of like some harsh reality coming soon.
I'm ready for it.
In contrast to what you said, Pete, I think my theory might be slightly off. I think there's a potential where it could follow through with it, but I think that There's some to it that could potentially. It's not entirely true. I'll say that.
Or is there a reason for that?
Well, after this next
After this
shard,
next one.
yeah,
Got it. Next shard. Final shard. Final trial.
The Northmen say that their all-father, Odin, gave his eye in exchange for a drink from Mimir's well, the well of wisdom. In blindness, there can be wisdom. Only by giving can you receive in return. For this reason, I give my life and pass on my stories of the Northmen to you, Senua.
Druth's story plays a part in this next trial. Druth's story talks about Odin giving up his eye to drink from the well of wisdom. Guess what's gonna happen in this next trial?
Shit my pants is what's gonna happen.
We are pretty much blind. Senua cannot see.
Blind.
Senua is in almost total darkness.
Yep.
Almost. You can see directly around her, pretty much directly around her, but you can't see in a distance. In order to see far away, you have to stay still and focus. And if you stay still and focus, you can see in the distance.
Oh, really?
The first playable area where you are unable to take a photo in photo mode.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yes. So there's been cutscenes where you can't do photo mode, but this is the first playable area that you are unable to.
How'd that make you
take
feel?
a picture? I was annoyed. I wanted to take some pictures.
But I understand why they don't let you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that. But before we talk about exactly how this sequence goes, there's a little scene when she arrives in this trial.
Where am I can't see. Who's there?
Can you hear me? I'm right here. Can't you see me?
No. Help me.
Breathe slow.
It's the darkness.
Stay still. Empty your thoughts. Tell me what you feel.
The breeze.
Good. Then there is a way out.
I can't tell where it comes from.
Yes, you can.
That breeze is your controller freaking the freak out.
What happens if you play on PC with like mouse and keyboard?
I have no idea. That is a great question. But when you play with a controller, it vibrates like crazy when you face the correct direction. So you have to follow that direction. Whenever the controller vibrates, that's the way you want to go. But it's not like that the whole time.
Oh, God.
Because you reach a certain moment where you can't use the breeze anymore. You have to use the audio. The reason you have to use the audio is because of this next conversation.
I think I'm somewhere else now. The breeze has gone.
Use all of your senses. Let the world speak to you. What do you hear?
I hear water.
Go to it.
First, you have to follow the sound of the water, and then when you finally get to the water, you have to just keep on following the water. Guys, before we continue anymore, let me know what you think of this sequence so far.
Like, well, throughout the whole game, we're talking about the darkness and all that, and we're talking about Odin giving up his eye and everything, and now Dillion is helping her navigate through the darkness, which is everything that pretty much this game is, right? That's why he's pretty much here. Not just that, but he's so good at this because his father's also blind. So he helps his father as well, you know?
I never thought of that, Devon.
So
great insight.
He's done it so much, pretty much his whole life. Like now it's almost second nature to him. So he can help her and guide her through this, and she'll never lose sight of her journey because she's using all her senses and everything. And
very interesting.
I
didn't make
Great
that
catch, Devon.
That connection there is good.
Hey, thanks.
I was excited. I thought we were gonna get more of a challenge in the gameplay. Like I thought it was gonna be using your senses with the vibration and like listening to something and trying to figure out stuff. I was a little let down by the overall application of it because it was fairly simple and they kind of held your hand throughout the whole thing. But I will say, in instances like this, as much as this game might hold your hand with it, it all supports like story and progression of the story, which I can't really fault it for doing. It puts you into a feeling, right? So it's always like, what are we doing right now? She's lost, she can't see, and she's using Dillion as like a guiding light, and it's just more like solidifying that relationship of them and how him trying to guide her out of the darkness, quite literally, in this instance. So it's like, as much as it might be a letdown, and I don't want to say letdown, but it's just like I thought they were going to go a little bit more extreme. It still serves the story purpose, which is it's good, and that's all you can really ask for, in a game like this.
That's another great catch as well. He's literally leading her out of the darkness that she's been battling for so long. And she even says when she ends up in this area, it's the darkness.
Yeah.
That's what she says to Dillion.
So all these points in Odin's trials are super specific to Senua, which I would think if anyone that's going through these trials, it would be specific to the person that's actually doing it. And we're seeing, instances in her life of maybe they're super integral parts that are to her story. And this might be, again, the one that shows him guiding her out. Maybe it was the first time she fell into the darkness with him around, and maybe this is why he's so important to her, because he's guiding her. There's a lot of things you can infer from it.
It's like almost every part of her mind, right? Her loves, her fears, everything, just everything culminating into 4 different trials. It's like her battle within herself.
What if this is her battle in the wilds?
Oh, the trials? Wow.
No, just this whole thing in general.
The whole game?
Oh.
Like none of this actually...
Like this is like what we're seeing preceding to what is actually about to happen?
Or what if none of this is happening and she's still in the woods fighting her darkness, and the darkness is like, we took Dillion. And she is fighting her way through all of it.
Oh, so like maybe like he actually isn't even dead. Like she's just fighting her way out of like.
And that's why
fears.
He can still talk to her and say, "You can do this," because he's with her, saying, "You can fight this."
That's cool,
bro.
That's
and then
interesting.
Like, at the end of the game, she wakes up in the woods and she's just like, "Bro,
Damn.
stop!" Man, this game's fucking great.
Okay.
This fucking game is awesome. Dude, that would be wild.
I just gotta say, this is great because with Deadly Premonition, as you guys did your what if scenarios, I couldn't participate because I knew what was happening.
Yeah.
Now I can participate because I don't know what's gonna happen.
The first time you haven't played a game that
I know.
It's great. And it's this one. I love it. I love that it's this one.
That's the thing is like, I honestly, no matter what happens, I think I'll be satisfied. Like if this is a very literal interpretation of what's going on, I think that they've done an awesome story.
Job.
Yes.
And I think if you take it into very like symbology sense, they've done a really cool job of like, representing mental illness as like a physical form and you battling through it. Like there's definitely some really cool stuff that they're doing. You could honestly take it as both. It's actually really cool that you can interpret it however you might want to take that.
Right.
I'm so intrigued on how they're gonna reveal that too.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Oh, we're so close.
I'm invested in this game so hard.
Same.
So much.
So hard.
Also, nice reference, John.
Yes.
As Senua follows the stream, we get a little more story, a little more conversation between her and Dillion.
It's reached the water.
Good. That's your way out. Follow me down the street.
so sorry. I thought I left this all behind.
Don't be sorry. It's not your fault.
He was right. It's inside of him. It won't let me go.
Senua, my father, he taught me that the hardest battles are fought in the mind, not the sword. You're no coward. He proved that to me in the warrior trials. This is just another battle. You can beat it.
This isn't your bet. You don't have to help me.
I want to. Besides, you are going to be a great warrior one day. We need people like you.
I'll do my best.
I love the relationship. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Great.
So this is why I feel like this isn't just in her head, and like this is her actually returning to the village. Because great reveal on this, where like you're trying to see your way through the fucking river and you can barely see what's in front of you, and you're following the river upstream, and all you do is just start seeing bodies that are lying in the stream,
Mhm.
and it's just like more and more as you continue on towards the camp. I thought that was really cool.
I'm still thinking about the theory about this all being in her head.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine this is just Dillian talking to her while she's in the forest trying to fight this. And
Right.
she's saying to him, "You don't have to help me." And he's just standing right there next to her saying, "I want to help you.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
here for you." But she's
Oh,
so
man.
ingrained in her mind that this is what she's going through as she fights it.
If that actually happens, Peter, you're a damn genius.
However, my theory is in conflict with John's theory because of what the inner voice tells her.
I know what you're thinking. He's not really here. Seems there's no escaping the past in this place. And so she's forced to relive it. To what end?
I bring up that little piece of dialogue because her inner voice says he's not really here and she's forced to relive it. What if she's just going through the fact that she murdered everyone? And she's
Including Dillian.
including Dillian, and she's just
Yeah.
reliving it.
I think that this game is like a 50-50. Like I feel like we hear the truth and we're reliving the past. So it's like, and maybe the past of what we're seeing isn't fully truth of what's going on, but like, or even present of what's going on. You know, we can't really trust what she's seeing. She has mental illness. Something happened in her camp, whether it be disease or her killing people or a combination of both.
Or the Northman.
And then, or the Northman. And because we can't trust her, things might be mutated as far as what we're seeing in the present or in the past. But I think there's like a central storyline that's actually occurring.
You could say a literal mutation is what we're about to see. We find a house, and she walks up to the top level, and she has to drop on in. She has to drop down. Of course, she can't see, so that's kind of scary. You're dropping into this unknown area. But she does it anyway. And then we learn a little bit about what's to come.
I don't know what's inside.
Don't be afraid.
There's something in here.
Do you see it?
No.
Then it cannot see you. Quietly move past it, one step at a time.
I took that one step at a time in the most literal fucking sense ever.
Me too,
All right?
dude. I'm laughing because I'm watching your gameplay and I did this same exact thing.
I went right to the wall. There's a wall
The
to
right
your
side
right.
wall.
I went right to the wall, and I said, I am following this wall until I get myself to safety.
Oh, dude.
Fuck whatever is in this room with me.
Uh-huh.
And you can't see what it is.
No.
And I didn't know that if you focus, it clears her vision up.
Well, very minimally. Like
Very
you see like
minimally.
a very like blurry version of what it is, which
Mm.
almost makes it worse, to be honest.
Well, when I figured out the focus,
yeah.
I was not far away from it, and I did not
Yeah.
see a blurry vision of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When I figured out you could focus, I was right next to the damn thing.
Oh, Jesus.
And I saw it and thought, what the fuck is that? I've never sworn this much in a Game Club episode, and I apologize to our listeners. But this section had me all sorts of messed up. All right? This part of the game was just bone-chilling.
Yeah.
Man.
You can't see, and you have to maneuver around. On top of that, in this house, there are chains dangling.
Uh-huh.
Guess what will happen? I didn't do it. I didn't do it because
I
I
didn't
saw
either.
the chain. But I imagine that if you walk through the chain, the creature's going to hear you.
Yeah. I called them on their bullshit right there. I was like, I'm
Yep.
not walking through that fucking chain. You
Yep.
kidding me?
I saw the chain ever so slightly. Like, the light just came across it, and I thought, no way.
No.
Not today.
Nice try.
Yep.
Man, you weren't kidding. You really took this one step at a time, dude. I
One
was walking
step
through
at
like
a
a
time.
champ. I just kept
Hell
walking.
no.
No,
Hell no.
I'm with Pete.
When you guys watched the VOD of me playing through, dude, I literally was just like, I was scared. I was definitely frightened. And I was just like, nope, gotta get through, and just went right through. Didn't even care. It was like, nope, not playing with this. Gone. I was out.
I was a little bit more lax later on, but like this first room, I was like, nope. Like you have to trust the voices that you're hearing. And like he's saying one step at a time. I was like, fuck this. I'm not gonna make any noise and make this thing come after me. Fuck that.
That's the thing. I thought when he said one step at a time, I thought, oh, if I move too quickly, they'll hear me and they'll come after
Exactly.
me. And I
Me
did
too.
not want that. I did not
Right there
want
with you, Pete.
to move too quickly and just hear, and then this fucking thing just charge at me. I was not down for that.
I also realized that like I took the exact same path as you, Pete, and I went around the whole perimeter of the right side of the room. Like where you started, if you just walk straight, you probably would have been fine and just be able to cut through the room.
Which is probably what
the
Devon did.
Just walking around, no fear in the world.
No, I was terrified. It's just I wanted to get out of there, so I just kept going.
But I felt like I was like, oh man, if I just walk straight, I probably could have passed through this dude. But I was like, I'm just taking the detour route.
I took the wall. I took the first route, and I thought, I'm going to follow this, and I'm going to make my way through, and I'm going to slowly walk through, and I don't trust if this thing can hear me or not. I'm going the way I want to do this, and I'm going the way I want to say. We have not described the creature, by the way.
Oh, that's true.
Just some human centipede looking, bulbous,
It's
that's
like
it.
bodies morphed together, and then think of the ripples John was looking for in the water just happening through all of those bodies.
Just picture like a giant pimple with legs like pulsating and
Yes.
like
Yes. That's
It's
what
like,
the creature looks like.
terrifying.
You make your way out of the house, and you think, whew, thank God I'm done with that. Only to walk outside and see that the entire outside area is covered with these things. And it's not like the one in the house that's just standing in one spot and you can walk around or walk past it and easily go by. No, the ones outside, they're patrolling the fucking area.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I apologize for the swearing, but this part had me all sorts of
This
all
this
sorts
part
of messed
set
up.
Pete off right now.
Yeah.
He's triggered.
Not that
right
I was
now.
angry. I wasn't
No.
angry at the part, and I didn't die. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to get that out of the way. I didn't die at all. But moving through, the whole time was thinking, no. And I would take a couple steps forward and see the creatures just turn around and start walking toward me, and I would just slowly make my way back the other way, and I would turn around and say, all right, I'm going to wait until they're out of the way. Yeah, go, 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 go. And I made it to the next area. Yes, there's more. Come on.
I feel like I just took some just way different approaches. I never stopped moving. Maybe one time, maybe once,
So-
but other than that, I just kept going. Just followed
This
fine
portion,
path.
I got ballsy.
Yes.
I got ballsy in this portion. Like the first one, I was terrified, and then at this point, I was like, "All right, I feel like I can just walk and it would be all right." And I kind of just did that like Frogger thing where I just like when you pick that path, you know the car's not going to hit you, and you just like continue on. You're like, "I'm just gonna fucking hold it out."
I
Right?
was just like a little snake. Just
Exactly, and which was probably the worst thing because the next scene of this, I fucking got my head slapped a little bit.
Did you?
Yes and no. Like I got re-scared again. So this second portion, to kind of give some more light to it, is like it's out in the open and you have little campfires like every probably like 30-40 feet, and like Pete said, these monsters are kind of lining the sides and they patrol, and you kind of just walk through this path and try to avoid them. I think Devon and I definitely just picked a path and went. And I think that's how you should basically overcome this whole entire section.
Keep
is
going,
just
dude.
pick a path and just fucking go.
Keep going. Never look back.
Because like at the end you find this well that you jump into. You
Yes.
have this
When you find the well, you're able to jump into it, and you end up in the third section. I remember finding the well and thinking, we're done. Thank God. We're
Me too,
done.
dude.
And then when you land in this
Like,
third
come
area,
on.
you're in water. These creatures, there's more of them still patrolling the water, and then there's bodies hanging from the ceiling. So every time you move, Senua's slapping dangling feet out of her way, or like a dangling head or whatnot. And
I also thought they were more aggressive in their patrolling, and there was many more than
they were
closer
definitely
to
more
each other.
aggressive. Yes, they
Mhm.
were definitely.
This was the portion where like I was like, I'm picking a fucking lane and going. Then I'm like, oh, never mind. Hold on a second. And I had to like turn back around. I was like, fuck. Like they kept like closing in on me, and like where I thought I had the path to go, and I had to back up. But then when you backed up, there was some behind you, and you're like, oh fuck me. Like where am I going? And I was like, I had to do this like little circle motion, a bunch of times until I finally just said, I think this is the path. Fuck it, I'm going. And
Nah, I just turbo jetted, baby. And I was like, I'm getting out of here. I was like, I said, this has gone on far too long. And I was out. I didn't even care. Dude, I didn't even stop to look to see if they could see me or if they were coming close to me. I just ran. I was just like trudging through water, dude. Didn't even care. I was out.
I think part of the problem is that I had no clue what was actually going to trigger them to like attack you.
That's
or
the thing.
like
I
draw you
didn't
near
know.
you. I had no feedback whatsoever from these things to be like I'm too close, or I'm
Oh
good
my
enough
God.
from being far away.
After making it through that third section, the trial is done. Guys, none of us got attacked once, right?
Nope.
No,
It makes me wonder if you and I thought too much about it.
I think so.
Well, not just in the sense that, we took our time and everything. What if they can't hurt you anyway?
Because it's all in your head.
Because it's all in her head. And you can just walk right through. If you just walk right through, it doesn't even matter. Because
What's
none of
up,
it's
baby?
real.
Is that other things that are chasing you or whatnot can definitely hurt you.
Can definitely hurt you. Right. But what if this time, what if
No, you're not
just
wrong.
going through the game saying, you can't get hurt by these guys. If you take your time through, you're just overthinking it.
Right. It's all up in your head. Wow. Imagine that, huh?
You're your own worst enemy in this section.
Right.
Exactly.
Right?
Imagine if that's the case.
That'd be cool. Like no matter what you did, it wouldn't hurt you.
Listeners and viewers, let us know if you can die by these creatures.
Yeah. If you're playing this with us and you experienced a death in this part, let us know.
Yeah.
I'm
If
interested.
not,
I'm
if you
intrigued.
can't die in this part, wow. Because if Devon tried that in any other game, he would have got slaughtered.
Dude, they're just trying to take this from me, man.
If Devon tried that in Outlast, just gone. Just
all
gone.
validity of me, like, just saying, like, yes, I'm fucking, I just powered through it. It's just gone. They're just taking it from me, bro. This is bullshit. This is such bullshit. You know what? I'll take it. I hope you can die.
Right, Devon?
If you can die in this section, I will be.
I want to go back and play the section now. Just run into the fucking monster.
When you walk right on through it, I will die laughing.
I'll fucking moonwalk that shit. Are you kidding me?
If you walk through it and it just bursts, that'd be crazy.
If you can walk through that without getting hurt at all, and they're almost just saying that like your mind is what is making you feel like you're gonna get hurt in that.
Right. Pretty cool.
Absolutely beautiful gameplay
cool.
section.
Oh, dude, that would be like on a different level. Right there,
totally different level.
Yeah, I kind of need to know
I
now.
need to know. We'll find next episode. We'll definitely know the answer to that.
Yes.
Senua makes it to the end. She makes it to the light. There's this light at the end of this section that she's pursuing that we imagine is Dillion.
She could spend hours, days even, trapped within herself, in the dark.
You see me?
Yes.
Your eyes were open, but you were gone.
And when it finally let her go, she could be anywhere, with no memory of how she got there.
When it comes for me, I have no power over it.
But here, for the first time, someone was there to help.
But I heard your voice. You brought me back.
You found your own way back. All you needed was a little help. A little hope.
With that cutscene, I don't know how to take it. All right?
Yeah.
I don't know where to place it in this timeline of these scenes that we've experienced. Because the first cutscene we see with Dillion, she says that she's going by herself to fight it.
Right.
But in that cutscene, she's in the woods with Dillion. She doesn't have her makeup on. She doesn't have her war paint on, I should say. So that's obviously
which implies
a scene
that it's in the past. Right.
But then it supports my theory where she's still battling it. And for a moment, she got pulled out of the darkness because Dillion was helping her. Dillion's there with her, helping her pull her out. But then the second voice, that voice comes in and says she could wake up anywhere and not have any memory of where she was, which supports John's theory about her just waking up back in the woods, having no idea she went to the village and killed everyone over there.
So here's the thing: is like what, like obviously with someone that is experiencing depression or like severe schizophrenia, maybe in her sense, it's not just like a one-time thing. Like, what if her going to the forest is her way of like expunging the darkness, and maybe the first few times Dillion was there to help her and get out, and then like by time 10 she's like, listen, I'm going to the darkness, or I'm going to the forest to get the darkness down. He's like don't forget about me, right? Like just remember, he doesn't have to necessarily be there to guide her through this time. Like it's happened enough where she's able to do it herself, where we find out maybe she's not able to do it herself, and maybe this is the time that it goes a little bit more extreme. I don't know, like there could be so many different things. Guys,
that was the final trial.
Final.
What do we get to do now?
We get to grab Gramr.
That's right. We get to grab the sword. So Senua turns and she walks up the hill towards the tree to grab the sword. And Druth comes back.
You've done it. The warrior trials. Go get the sword.
With Gramr reforged, you will have Odin's blessing to walk, a goddess, into the halls of Helheim and challenge Hela as an equal.
So Dillion was helping me. And his sword will lead me to him. Like when we first met.
Walk on into the tree.
Press the action button.
Press the action button. And Senua reaches for the sword.
Dillion gave her the strength to pass the warrior trials, and she saw a way out. To leave her past behind and become a warrior in Dillion's clan.
Go back. It's not safe.
The sword is tainted by the gods of darkness. Leave it.
No. He left it here. He wants me to take it.
You will pay a price for this.
But years later, with Zinbal's parting words still haunting her, the darkness came back with a vengeance. A plague.
Dillion?
Everyone suffered.
My father was not supposed to die like this.
Do you see it clearly now, Senua? The suffering you've caused.
This is your fault. You brought this plague to us. You have blood on your hands.
I want to say that I don't think that last part actually happened. And why I say that, let me describe the scene to our listeners. She pulls out the sword, gets transported into darkness. The opening of the tree closes. She's trapped. The room goes completely dark. She looks around. Senua is looking around. She doesn't know where she is. And then she sees a body on the ground. That body is Dillion's father, who died by the plague. Dillion is crying over his dad, and she walks up to him. When she tries to comfort him, that's when he snaps at her. His aura changes. When they show Dillion, his blue light is not blue anymore. It's a red light.
Yep.
But his voice is also modded in a way.
I didn't notice that. Okay.
Where it's not the normal comforting voice that we've heard Dillion speak to her with. And that's when the voice says, "It's your fault. You brought this plague upon us." I think when she saw Dillion in pain, he might have snapped at her, but I don't think that he ever said she was the cause. I think that he was just in pain, and him pushing her away in that moment caused her to think that he was blaming her. That's how I feel the scene went.
People grieve in different ways, and a lot of people want to be alone while they're grieving. They don't want to seem weak in front of the people that they love and things like that. So completely understand where you're coming from there. I definitely don't think it was real either. Definitely think that's what she was doing because she's also trying to cope with it. So maybe it's easier for her to put that blame on herself almost, and just take that. And ultimately, I mean, it's her hurting herself and almost kind of like protecting herself too, I guess, in a way.
See, I think it's real. I think it's real, and I think that's the final bearance of gaining the sword in Odin's trial, right? Every single time she's gone into the trial, it's been a terrible memory that she's had to overcome. And that's the worst one. And that's the one she has to pay the price the most to gain the sword. Where Dillion's father has passed away, and the whole time he's defended her, being like, you're not the reason why this plague has come to this village. You know, they don't know what they're talking about. You're fine. I'm gonna help you. Blah 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 blah. His dad finally dies, and that's the triggering point where he's like, you brought this here. They were right. Like, you are the problem. the person she is completely in love with, she's going through hell, literally hell to bring him back, and he's like, "You did this to me."
Maybe she brings him back and he doesn't want to be with her. I'm gonna find some other girl I can be with, dog. You know what? You go ahead. I'm gonna stay here with Hela. You know what I'm saying?
Whether or not it's real, Senua finds herself in a new area. And this area is called the Sea of Corpses. And it's definitely not a pleasant area. Totally different from the tree that we were just standing outside of, in, and all around. This area is a cavern. And if you look far enough into the cavern, you can see walls of hands.
You know, the interesting point in this whole thing is that it's a very like gruesome scene with like the hands coming from the walls and everything, and but it has the same coloring of the tree of, you know, when she met that. It's like that same like light, you know,
like the
that
light coming down into it.
like the golden rays, whatever. So it's kind of like a mix of you know, the different scenes that she's going through.
John's alluding.
Of course, you can't take in the sights in peace for too long, because right away, an enemy spawns in. And Senua, draws her lightsaber, sword, and it lights up. And we are able to use Odin's sword, otherwise known as Gramr, to take out the enemies. Now, the first enemy that shows up, you can't just strike down. You have to use your mirror to solidify him. I didn't realize that at first. I thought you would just kill this thing with the sword. But the voices tell you, focus, focus. At that point, I realized, oh, I have to solidify him. The cool thing with this sword is that when you parry an enemy, when you perfectly parry an enemy, if you hold the heavy attack button, the sword charges up. And when you strike, you can kill an enemy in one hit.
It's pretty dope.
It's going to be a fun weapon to play with.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing. If no one noticed, when she holds the sword up to her head, as she holds it up, on the hilt of the sword, like I don't even know what it's called, like the part that sticks out. There's 4 little symbols there. Those are her 4 shards, pretty much, for the sword, like the 4 symbols.
I didn't even recognize the symbol.
I just noticed that. Noticed.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's cool.
Thought of it.
The interesting part of this whole thing is I feel like this is just trying to foreshadow this next section is going to be very combat heavy, because we've distanced ourselves within the last 2 sections of being very story driven and kind of like leading ourselves up to it. There's been some combat
puzzle
in the last section.
Puzzle focused. Yeah.
Yes. This section especially puzzle focused. I don't think we had any sort of battling of anybody. There was a little bit in the previous section, but like that's a good like 2-3 hours of
story
not having a lot of combat, and we regained this like Odin sword Gramr that's going to be, you know, killing everything. I think we're going to be doing a lot of battling in this upcoming section.
But guys, that is the end of the section. We don't get to walk through the walls of the hands. We do that next time when we have to finish the entire game. Finishing it.
My favorite part, dude.
Final episode for our next section. But guys, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, what did you think overall?
I like that these last 2 sections were story focused. It really built on the story. We learned a lot about not just Senua, but all the like other characters surrounding her, right? Her dad, Dillion's dad. 2 new characters that we really took into ourselves, and then Dillion, just more about him and everything. So I really enjoyed it. Plus we got a badass sword. Shit's about to get real.
Oh, it's about to get real. I will say that on initial playthrough, it was okay. I don't think there was anything that was necessarily like super bad about it. talking about it right now, I think I've enjoyed it a lot more, dissecting it and kind of getting into the more of the story and symbolism of it. So underrated section. I still think it is the weakest of the three, but I enjoyed it more than my original playthrough.
Out of the 3 sections we've played, I can't say which one is the best. I really enjoyed the last section that we played.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, as we've said before, very combat focused.
Yeah.
Second one, very story focused. This one, puzzle focused with elements of story in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I've played 3 different games that have all culminated into one experience. And I have to say, it's incredible that something so different along the progression of 3 hours or 4 hours, however long we've played, can feel so cohesive. It's a beautiful thing. Maybe in a gameplay sense, you can say that this is the weakest one.
Yes.
If you didn't like the puzzles.
It's not
at
a
the
knock
same
on the
time.
game.
No.
It's
yeah,
the
yeah.
quote unquote weakest. It's like it's still really fucking good.
Yeah.
It's like just the weakest of the 3.
At the same time, the way they introduce these puzzles, the way they've switched up the gameplay, it's incredibly impressive because each of the trials felt totally unique and apart from each other. There wasn't anything in the trials where I thought, oh man, like we're just doing that again. Even with the symbols, like they switched it up.
Whether or not you want to say that this is challenging or the gameplay is the same, whatever, the story is still serviced through these trials, which is like hands down the best thing that you can do. I don't care if it's like, you don't change up gameplay. As long as you're servicing the story, that's the main focus.
Right.
So great on them for continuing doing that.
Guys, like I said, our next episode, we get to finish the game.
It's
so excited.
Final countdown.
Our season finale is coming up.
Damn.
Yeah.
So you guys know your assignment. If you're playing along with us, you know your assignment. That's right. If you want to play with us, finish the game. And when you finish the game, join our Discord. You can do so by clicking the link that's in the video description or in the description of the listening platform you're using. Join our Discord and talk about the game with us. Let us know what you think. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts and your comments on this past section. We'll talk about it with you. We'll bring you up, give you a shout out in the podcast. Now, if you don't have the game, if you can't afford it, if you don't feel like playing it, if you just don't want to spend money on it, we have a solution for you. And John is going to tell you all about that.
That's weird. Don't have the game, don't want to play it, don't feel like playing through it, don't feel like buying it. Guess what? We got you covered. Just join our Twitch channel, BLK WHD Gaming. We will play through the section that we're talking about, and you can watch us play it through it live. You can watch the VOD, and guess what? Even if you don't want to do that, we're going to upload it to our YouTube channel, and you can watch it there. So you can catch up on all the fun stuff that you missed. You watch us play through it, and you can comment on anything, and then you can listen to the podcast.
Obviously, watching an hour and a half video can be pretty tough. We all live busy lives.
Of course.
But we also have a solution for that, and Devon's going to tell you about that.
Facts. If your life is too busy to the point where you can't watch an hour-long video, that's okay. Pop your headphones in. Don't even look at your phone. Get some work done. You can listen to us on all your favorite podcast services. That's Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, Stitcher, Google Play Music as well. We're everywhere. We're everywhere. Just for your listening pleasure. So join us on there. Leave a like, leave a rating, leave something for us. You can leave a question in there too. We'll answer it on the podcast as well. So we're everywhere for you.
If you want to follow us on social media, you can at BLKWHT Gaming. And if you want to reach out to us on a more private sense, you can by emailing us at blkwhtgaming@gmail.com. That is it for this episode. I'm your host, Peter, with my friends, Johnny Bag of Donuts and the dark-skinned Brock Lee.
Oh. Ooh, broccoli.
Out here, baby.
What's up?
Broccoli.
What's your
Love broccoli.
Vitamins
Boom.
and vegetables.
He's pulling off those weights, baby.
Man.
We are Black and White Gaming, and we will see you next time.